The silence in the chamber lasted for a very long time. No one knew what to say. No one knew what to do. The delegates had come to this meeting expecting to watch a weak species be humiliated. Instead, they had witnessed something that would change the galaxy forever. Council leader Drova finally stood. Her movements were slow and careful, as if she was afraid any sudden action might trigger the human again. She looked around at her fellow delegates, seeing the fear in their many different faces. "The council will take a brief rest," she announced. "We will gather again in 1 hour to vote on Earth's membership request." Tehine bowed his head slightly. "Thank you, Council Leader. I will wait." The delegates began to leave their seats. Some of them rushed out quickly, desperate to get away from the human. Others moved slowly, unable to take their eyes off him. A few even stayed in their seats, frozen by shock. Delegate Morrow remained on his knees. His forearms hung limp at his sides. His eyes were empty, staring at nothing. The great Vexen warrior, feared by species across the galaxy, had been broken without a single blow being struck against him. Delegate Nero was one of the few who walked toward the center platform instead of away from it. Her purple fur was still standing on end, and her hearts were beating very fast, but she felt something stronger than fear. She felt hope. "Ambassador Tehine," she said, stopping a few feet away from him. I have never seen anything like that." Tehine looked at her. His eyes had returned to normal, now dark, but human. "I'm sorry if I frightened you, Delegate Nera. That was not my intention." "You did frighten me," she admitted. "But you also showed me something important. The Council has been ruled by species like the Vexens for too long. They believe that strength is everything, that the weak exist only to serve the strong. Today, you showed them that they are not as strong as they thought." Tehine smiled slightly. It was a tired smile, a human smile. "I did not want to show them. I hoped it would not be necessary. But it was necessary," Nera said. "And now everything will change." Guards came to take Morrow away. He did not resist. He did not even seem to notice them. They had to carry him, because his legs would not hold him up anymore. As he was taken past Tehine, his eyes focused for a moment. "What are you?" he whispered. It was the same question Drova had asked, but this time it sounded like a prayer or a curse. "I told you," Tehine said gently. "I am human. I am what lives inside all of us. The only difference between me and other humans is that I have been trained to let it out. But if you had attacked any human on Earth, a teacher, a farmer, a child, and pushed them far enough, you would have seen the same thing. Maybe not as controlled, maybe not as complete, but the same thing." Morrow's eyes closed, and the guards carried him away. The hour passed slowly. Tehine remained on the central platform, standing alone. Some delegates came to look at him from a distance, as if he was an animal in a display. Others sent recording devices to capture his image. The news of what had happened was spreading across the galaxy, moving at the speed of light through communication networks. When the council gathered again, every seat was filled. Word had spread, and delegates who had skipped the morning session now crowded into the chamber. They all wanted to see the human. They all wanted to know if the stories were true. Council leader Drova took her place on the throne. She looked older than she had that morning. The silver of her scale seemed duller, and her movements were stiff. "The Council will now vote on Earth's request for full membership in the Galactic Assembly," she announced. Her voice was formal, but there was something new in it. Something that sounded almost like respect. The voting took only minutes. One by one, each species cast their decision. When the count was finished, Drova announced the result. "The vote is unanimous," she said. "Earth is accepted as a full member of the Galactic Assembly, with all rights and responsibilities. Ambassador Tehine, your world is welcome among us." Taehyun bowed deeply. Thank you, Council Leader. Thank you all. Earth looks forward to a long and peaceful relationship with the Galactic Assembly. There was something else in the vote that no one spoke aloud, but everyone understood. It was not just an invitation. It was an apology. It was a promise to never treat humans the way they had been treated that day. In the weeks that followed, everything changed. News of the human ambassadors spread to every corner of the galaxy. Stories were told and retold, growing larger with each telling. Some said the human had become a giant made of pure darkness. Others said he had breathed fire and lightning. A few claimed he had destroyed half the council chamber with a wave of his hand. The truth was frightening enough without exaggeration. Other species began to look at humans differently. When human traders came to their ports, they were treated with careful respect. When human scientists to study at their universities, they were welcomed warmly. When human travelers needed help, they received it quickly. Some species even began to seek alliances with Earth. They had seen what one human could do. They did not want to imagine what 8 billion could do. Delegate Morrow never returned to the council. He resigned from his position and went back to his home world. Some said he never spoke again. Others said he spent his remaining years warning other Vexans to never, ever make the mistake he had made. Delegate Nera became the first non-human to be assigned to Earth as a permanent ambassador. She spent many years there, learning about human culture and history. She learned about their wars and their peace. She learned about their art and their science. She learned about the darkness that slept in their blood and the light they built with their hands. And she learned that what Taehyun had said was true. The humans were tired of war. They had fought enough. They had killed enough. They wanted something better, but they would never forget how to fight. And they would never let anyone threaten their people again. As for Taehyun, he served as Earth's ambassador for many years. He never had to show his true form again. The memory of that day was enough. When other species looked at him, they did not see a small, weak creature anymore. They saw what he could become. They saw the predator sleeping behind his calm, dark eyes, and they were very, very careful to never wake it up. On the day he finally retired, Taehyun returned to Earth. He stood on a hill overlooking the city, where he had been born, and watched the sun set over the ocean. The sky turned red and gold, colors he had missed during his long years among the stars. A young woman from the diplomatic service came to stand beside him. Her name was Su Min, and she would be taking his place as ambassador. "Are you afraid?" he asked her. She thought about it. "A little. There is so much that can go wrong." Taehyun nodded. "There is. The galaxy is full of species who think strength is the only thing that matters. They will test you. They will try to find your weakness. They will think that because you are young and new, you can be pushed around." He turned to look at her. His eyes, even now, held shadows in their depths. "But you carry the same thing inside you that I carry. The same thing that every human carries. When they push you too far, you will push back. And they will learn the same lesson that Delegate Morrow learned." He smiled, and for a moment, just a moment, his eyes flickered red. "Never threaten a human. We have been surviving for too long to stop now." The chamber remained frozen in silence. Thousands of delegates sat in their seats, unable to move, unable to look away from the creature that had once appeared to be a small, harmless human. The frost continued to spread across the floor and walls, and the shadows seemed to breathe with a life of their own. Council Leader Drovo was the first to find her voice. She was ancient. She had seen empires rise and fall. She had survived wars that killed billions. And she had not survived this long by showing weakness. "Ambassador Taehyun," she said, and her voice only shook a little. "You have made your point. Perhaps we can now discuss this in a more civilized manner." Taehyun turned his burning eyes toward her. For a long moment, he did not speak. Then, slowly, his form began to change again. The shadows pulled back. The wings folded and disappeared. His body shrank, the dark armor fading back into pale human skin. Within minutes, he looked human again. Just a small man in torn clothes, standing alone in the center of the great chamber. Only his eyes still held traces of what he had been. They remained dark, with flickers of red deep within. "Yes," he said, and his voice was calm once more. "Let us be civilized." He reached up and wiped the blood from his lip. The wound Morrow had given him was already healing, the skin closing over itself. "But first, I want you to understand something. What I just showed you was not a trick. It was not technology. It is what we are. Let me tell you the full truth about humanity." He began to walk slowly around the central platform, his footsteps the only sound in the silent chamber. Millions of years ago, on Earth, there were many types of humans. Different species, like your different species here. They competed with each other for food and land. They fought. They killed each other. And slowly, one species won. Modern humans, U.S. He paused, looking up at the rows of delegates. We did not win because we were stronger. There were human species much stronger than us. We did not win because we were faster. Others were faster. We won because of one simple thing. We could adapt to anything. Heat, cold, desert, jungle, mountains, swamps. Whatever the world threw at us, we found a way to survive. He touched his chest, where his heart beat beneath the skin. This ability to adapt became part of our very blood. Our genes learned to change when needed. Most of the time, we do not need this ability. Most of the time, we are exactly what we appear to be: soft, weak, short-lived creatures who build houses and grow food and raise children. His eyes darkened slightly. But when we are threatened, truly threatened, our genes remember. They remember the ice ages. They remember the predators. They remember every battle for survival that our ancestors ever fought. And they give us the power to survive again. Delegate Nira raised her hand. Her arm was shaking, but she forced herself to speak. "Ambassador, are you saying that all humans can do what you just did?" Taehyun looked at her with something that might have been kindness. "Not exactly. Not all humans can achieve full transformation. It depends on many things: genetics, training, mental strength. But all humans carry the potential. All humans have the predator sleeping in their blood. Even those who cannot fully transform become different when truly threatened, stronger, faster, more dangerous." He smiled slightly. "Your scientists may have noticed this. When a human is frightened for their life, or when someone they love is in danger, their body releases chemicals that make them capable of amazing things. Mothers have lifted vehicles to save their children. Soldiers have fought on after injuries that should have killed them. This is just a small taste of what we can become." Council Leader Drova leaned forward. "Why did you not tell us this before? Why did you hide your true nature? Would you have believed us?" Taehyun asked. "If we had come to you and said, 'We look weak, but we are actually ancient predators who can transform into monsters,' would you have taken us seriously? Or would you have laughed and called us liars?" No one answered. They all knew what would have happened. "We chose to come peacefully," Taehyun continued. "We chose to appear as we usually are, small and soft and harmless. We hoped you would judge us by our words, by our ideas, by our desire for friendship. We hoped you would be better than this." He looked at Morrow, who was still on his knees, still shaking. "But you were not better. You judged us by our size. You judged us by our apparent weakness. You decided we were nothing, that we could be pushed around and humiliated without consequence." He walked closer to the fallen delegate. Let me tell you something about humans. Delegate Morrow, we have a saying on Earth, beware the fury of a patient man. Do you know what it means? It means that when someone is patient, when someone stays calm even when they are being hurt, it is not because they are weak. It is because they are choosing not to fight. And when patient people finally decide to fight, their anger is terrible. He knelt down once more, bringing his face close to Morrow's. I was very patient today. I let you mock me. I let you insult my species. I let you lift me off the ground like a toy. I was patient because I hoped you would stop. I was patient because I did not want to show you what I could become. But you did not stop. You hit me. You made me bleed. His eyes flickered red again. That was the moment you gave me permission. In human culture, when someone draws blood, they have declared war. They have said, I want to fight. And when a human accepts that challenge, he stood up and spread his arms. Well, you saw what happens. He walked back to the center of the platform and turned to address the entire chamber. I am not here to threaten you. I do not want war. Humans are tired of war. We have fought enough wars among ourselves. We have seen enough death. We came to the stars hoping to find friends, allies, partners. We came hoping to share what we have learned and to learn from others. His voice softened. But we will not be treated as less than we are. We will not be bullied. We will not be hit and expected to just accept it. If you treat us with respect, you will find no better friends in the galaxy. We will trade with you fairly. We will help you when you need help. We will stand beside you against any threat. His voice hardened again. But if you attack us, if you try to harm us, if you think you can take what is ours by force, you will learn what 8 billion predators can do when they are all angry at the same enemy. He looked at each of the high delegates in turn. The choice is yours. Friendship or war? Partnership or destruction? We came here offering one. Do not make us give you the other. The lights in the chamber began to flicker. At first, the delegates thought there was a problem with the power systems. But then they realized the darkness was not coming from failing lights. It was coming from the human dot shadows gathered around Taehyam like living things. They wrapped around his body, twisting and growing. The temperature in the chamber dropped so fast that frost appeared on the seats nearest to him. Morrow stumbled backward, his forearms raised in defense. Guards! He shouted. Guards! Security officers from many different species rushed toward the central platform. They carried weapons of all kinds, energy guns, shock staffs, projectile launchers. They had been trained to handle any threat. They were not trained for this. Taehyam raised one hand. The shadows around him shot outward like spears. They did not hurt anyone. They simply wrapped around every weapon in the chamber and crushed them. Hundreds of guns, staffs, and blades crumpled like paper in invisible fists. Do not be afraid, Taehyam said, but his voice was no longer entirely human. It echoed with deeper tones, as if many voices were speaking at once. I am not here to hurt you. I am here to teach you. His body was changing. His skin was becoming darker, harder. His shape was growing, stretching. Bones cracked and reformed under his flesh. His face began to shift, the jaw extending, the teeth becoming longer and sharper. Council leader Drover rose from her throne. In 300 years, she had never shown fear. She did not show it now, though her scales had turned pale. What are you? She demanded. What is happening to you? I am human, Taehyam said, and the word came out like a growl. This is what humans are. This is what we hide. He was twice his original size now. His clothes had torn away, revealing a body covered in dark, shifting patterns that looked almost like armor. His eyes were completely black, but deep within them, red light had begun to glow. "Your scientists studied us," he continued, his voice filling every corner of the massive chamber. "They measured our strength, our speed, our senses. They decided we were weak, but they only measured the surface. They did not look deeper. They did not ask why such a weak species could survive so long on such a dangerous planet." His transformation continued. Wings or something like wings began to unfold from his back. They were not made of feathers or skin. They were made of shadow, of darkness, of something that hurt to look at directly. "Earth is not a kind world," Tehian said. "It has ice ages that last for thousands of years. It has predators with teeth and claws. It has diseases that kill millions. It has storms and earthquakes and volcanoes. Every day is a fight for survival. And humans won that fight, again and again, for hundreds of thousands of years." His height now matched Morrow's. His body was covered in that dark, shifting armor. His hands had become claws. His face was still recognizable as human, but only barely. It was the face of a human stripped of all softness, all mercy, all civilization. "Do you know how we survived?" he asked. "Do you know our secret?" No one answered. No one could speak. Fear had frozen every delegate in their seat. "We changed," Tehian said. "When the world threatened us, we changed to meet it. When predators hunted us, we became better predators. When ice covered our lands, we learned to love the cold. When disease struck us, we grew stronger. Evolution gave us a gift that no other species has: the ability to become whatever we need to become." He spread his shadow wings wide. They seemed to fill the entire chamber, blocking out the lights. "What you see now is what humans become when we face true danger. This is the form that hunted mammoths in the snow. This is the form that fought tigers in the jungle. This is the form that survived every disaster Earth could throw at us." He looked down at Morrow, who had fallen to his knees. The great Vexen warrior was shaking. His blue skin had gone pale. His forearms were wrapped around himself like a child trying to hide from a nightmare. "Will you not show this form anymore?" Tehian said, his voice softening slightly. "We have not needed it for thousands of years. We built civilizations. We created art and music and science. We learned to be gentle, to be kind, to be peaceful. We put the predator to sleep." He knelt down until his terrible face was level with Morrow's. "But the predator never dies. It only sleeps. And when something threatens us, when something attacks us, when something makes us bleed," he showed his teeth in something that might have been a smile, "it wakes up." Delegate Nero watched from her seat, her fur standing on end. She should have been terrified. Every instinct in her body was screaming at her to run. But she also felt something else. Something like relief. She had always known there was something wrong about how the Council treated new species. She had watched powerful delegates like Morrow bully and humiliate weaker races. She had seen species driven to extinction because they could not defend themselves. Now, finally, someone was pushing back. Tehian stood up again. He looked around the chamber, his burning eyes meeting the gaze of every delegate who dared to look at him. "I did not come here to fight," he said. "I came here to ask for peace, to ask for partnership, to ask to be treated as equals. But you could not do that, could you? You saw small and weak, and you thought you could hurt us without consequences." The shadows around him pulsed. The frost on the seats crept further. "I want you to understand something," he said. "Every human carries this inside them. Every single one. The old grandmother who tends her garden. The young child who plays with toys. The scientist who studies stars. All of them have this sleeping inside their blood. All of them can become what I am now, if they are pushed far enough." He paused to let that sink in. "There are 8 billion humans on Earth. 8 billion creatures who can become this. And you thought we were weak. You thought you could hit us and we would not hit back." He laughed, and the sound made the walls vibrate. "Delegate Morrow, I want to thank you again. You have shown your true nature today. You have shown that you are a bully who attacks those you think are weaker than you. And in doing so, you have shown your council something important." He looked up at Council Leader Drova. "You have shown them that they should not have let you sit among them. And you have shown them what will happen if anyone at all threatens humanity again." The council chamber was the largest room Taehyun had ever seen. It was shaped like a great bowl, with seats rising up on all sides around a central platform. Thousands of delegates filled those seats, representing hundreds of different species from across the galaxy. The air was thick with strange smells and the sounds of many different languages being spoken at once. Taehyun walked to the center platform alone. His footsteps echoed in the sudden silence that fell as he entered. Every eye, every sensory organ in the room turned to look at him. Council Leader Drova sat on a raised throne at the front of the chamber. Her silver scales caught the light as she leaned forward to study the human. Beside her sat the 12 high delegates, the most powerful members of the council. Delegate Morrow was among them, his blue skin dark with contempt. "The representative from Earth may speak," Drova announced. Her voice was carried by speakers throughout the massive chamber. Taehyun bowed his head slightly. "Thank you, Council Leader. I am Ambassador Taehyun. I come before this council to present Earth's formal request for full membership in the Galactic Assembly." He spoke clearly and calmly. He had practiced these words many times on the long journey here. He explained Earth's resources, its location, its willingness to trade and cooperate. He spoke of peace and mutual benefit. The council listened in silence. Some of them looked bored. Others whispered to each other behind their hands. A few were not even paying attention. When Taehyun finished speaking, Drova nodded slowly. "The council has heard the request from Earth. Does any delegate wish to respond?" Morrow rose from his seat immediately. He walked down to the central platform, his heavy footsteps making the floor shake slightly. He was more than twice Taehyun's height, and he made sure to stand very close, forcing the human to look up at him. "I have questions for the human," Morrow said, his voice loud and mocking. "Tell me, little creature, what does your planet offer that we do not already have?" "Earth has many unique resources," Taehyun began. "Our position in the galaxy provides nothing special," Morrow interrupted. "Your planet is small and cold and wet. There are a million worlds like it." Taehyun remained calm. "Perhaps. But Earth also has, what about your people?" Morrow continued, not letting him finish. "What can humans do? You have no strength. You have no speed. You cannot survive in water or in vacuum. You cannot see in the dark or hear sounds beyond a tiny range. You are, by every measure, one of the weakest species ever to achieve space travel." Laughter rippled through the chamber. Many delegates nodded in agreement. "It is true that humans are not as physically strong as some species," Taehyun said. His voice remained steady. "But we have other qualities." "Other qualities?" Morrow laughed loudly. "Let me tell you what I know about humans. You fight each other constantly. Your history is filled with war and death. Even now, when you should be working together to join the galactic community, your planet is divided into many small countries that cannot agree on anything." More laughter. Some delegates were openly pointing at Taehyun now, enjoying the show. "You are correct that human history has violence in it," Taehyun said. "But we have also—" "You are children," Morrow said, cutting him off again. "Dangerous children who play with weapons they do not understand. The Council should not allow Earth to join. We should put a barrier around your system and let you destroy yourselves. It would be safer for everyone." The laughter in the chamber grew louder. Delegate Nira, watching from her seat in the back, felt her heart sink. She had hoped the council would give the human a fair chance. But Morrow was determined to humiliate him. Tehain waited until the laughter died down. Then he spoke again, his voice as calm as before. "Delegate Morrow, I understand your concerns. Many species fear what they do not understand. But if you look at human history more closely, you will see—" "I have seen enough," Morrow said. He reached out with one of his 4 hands and grabbed the front of Tehain's black shirt. He lifted the human off the ground as easily as lifting a small animal. "This is what I think of your request, little human." The chamber went quiet. Even those who had been laughing fell silent. Physical violence was rare in council meetings. There were rules. There were consequences. But Morrow did not care. He was a high delegate. His species was one of the most powerful in the galaxy. No one would dare to punish him for putting a human in its place. Tehain hung in the air, held up by Morrow's grip on his shirt. His feet dangled above the floor. His face showed no fear, no anger. He simply looked at Morrow with those dark, unreadable eyes. "Put me down, please," he said quietly. Morrow laughed. "Look at this." The human says please. How polite. How civilized. He shook Tehain like a toy. "Is this the best Earth can send? This little thing that asks nicely to be put down?" "I'm asking nicely," Tehain said, his voice still calm. "I am asking only once." Something in his tone made Morrow pause. Just for a moment. There was something in those dark eyes that he had not seen before. Something cold, something old, but Morrow was too proud to show hesitation. He was too used to being the strongest, the most powerful, the most feared. He had never met anything that could truly threaten him. So he did something stupid. He hit Tehain. It was an open-handed slap, meant to humiliate rather than harm. But it was delivered with the full strength of a Vexen warrior. The sound echoed through the silent chamber like a crack of thunder. Tehain's head snapped to the side. Blood appeared at the corner of his mouth. His body swung in Morrow's grip. The chamber held its breath. Then Tehain slowly turned his head back to look at Morrow. He smiled. The blood on his lips made the smile look red. "Thank you," he said softly. Morrow felt something cold run down his spine. For the first time in his long life, he felt something he did not recognize. It took him a moment to realize what it was. Fear. "Thank you," Tehain said again. "I was sent here to be peaceful. I was sent here to talk, to negotiate, to make friends. I was told that I could not show you what humans really are unless you attacked first. You just gave me permission." His voice was changing. It was getting deeper, rougher. And his eyes were getting darker. The whites were disappearing, becoming black. "What?" Morrow started to say. "Put me down," Tehain said. It was not a request this time. Morrow's hands opened on their own. He did not choose to let go. His body simply obeyed, responding to something in that voice. Something ancient and terrible. Tehain landed on his feet. He straightened his shirt calmly, as if nothing had happened. But when he looked up at Morrow, his eyes were completely black. 2 pools of darkness in a human face. "Now," Tehain said, and his voice echoed with a power that had no natural source. "Let me show you what humans really are." The ship was small. That was the first thing everyone noticed. Among the giant vessels that filled the docking bay of the Galactic Assembly Station, the human ship looked like a child's toy. It was gray and simple, without any fancy decorations or weapons that could be seen from outside. The other species watched from the viewing platforms above, their many eyes fixed on the little craft. "Is this a joke?" asked Delegate Morrow, his forearms crossed over his wide chest. He was a Vexen, a species known for their great size and even greater pride. His blue skin shimmered under the station lights. They send this thing to represent their entire planet? Council leader Drova stood beside him. She was ancient, even by the long-lived standards of her kind. Her body was thin and tall, covered in silver scales that clicked softly when she moved. She had led the Galactic Council for 300 years, and she had seen many species come and go. Most of them were forgotten now. Humans are new, Drova said, her voice like dry leaves rubbing together. They have only been in space for 2 of their centuries. They do not know our ways yet. Then they should learn to stay home, Morrow said with a harsh laugh. The door of the small ship opened with a soft hiss. For a moment, there was only darkness inside. Then a figure stepped out into the light. He was alone. This caused whispers to spread through the watching crowd. Every other species sent groups of diplomats, guards, assistants, and servants. The Vexans alone had brought 40 members in their team. But this human had come by himself. His name was Tehian. He was not very tall by human standards, and compared to most of the aliens around him, he looked almost like a child. He wore simple black clothes that covered his body from neck to feet. His hair was dark and cut short. His face showed no expression at all. He carried nothing. No weapons. No documents. No gifts for the council, which was considered very rude in galactic politics. Tehian walked down the ramp from his ship with slow, calm steps. He did not look around at the massive station or the hundreds of aliens watching him. He did not seem impressed or afraid. He simply walked forward, his eyes fixed ahead. "Look at him," Morrow said, loud enough for others to hear. "So small. So soft. I could break him with one hand." Some of the other delegates laughed. The Vexans were known for their strength. Their home world had gravity 3 times stronger than Earth. They had evolved to be powerful, with thick bones and muscles like steel cables. Next to Morrow, Tehian looked like something that might blow away in a strong wind. Young assistant from the protocol office hurried forward to meet the human. Her name was Delegate Nira, and she belonged to a species called the Talori. She had soft purple fur and large, kind eyes. Unlike many others on the station, she did not enjoy watching new species being mocked. "Ambassador," she said, bowing slightly. "Welcome to the Galactic Assembly Station. I am Delegate Nira. I will guide you to your quarters and explain the procedures for tomorrow's meeting." Tehian stopped walking. He looked at her for a long moment. His eyes were very dark, almost black, and Nira found that she could not read any emotion in them. "Thank you," he said. His voice was quiet and calm. "Lead the way." As they walked through the station, Nira tried to make conversation. She explained the history of the assembly, the different species that were members, and the rules of the council chamber. Tehian listened without speaking. He nodded sometimes, but he asked no questions. Other aliens stepped aside as they passed, but not out of respect. They moved away the same way one might move away from something strange and unpleasant. Some of them pointed. Some of them laughed behind their hands or tentacles. "I apologize for their behavior," Nira said quietly. "Many species here have never seen a human before. They do not understand your kind." "No," Tehian agreed. "They do not." Something in the way he said it made Nira feel cold for a moment. But the feeling passed, and she continued leading him through the station. The quarters given to Tehian were small and located in a distant section of the station. This was another insult-important species, were given large rooms near the center. But Tehian did not complain. He simply stepped inside and looked around at the bare metal walls and simple bed. "The council meeting is tomorrow at the first cycle," Nira said. "Shall I send someone to wake you?" "That will not be necessary," Tehian said. "I do not sleep much." Nira paused at the door. She wanted to warn him. She wanted to tell him that the council could be cruel to new species, that they would test him and try to make him fail. but something in his calm, dark eyes made her stop. "Good night, Ambassador," she said instead. "Good night, Delegate Nira. Thank you for your kindness." After she left, Tehan stood alone in the small room. He walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, very far away, was Earth, his home. The place he had been sent to represent the Galactic Council did not know much about humans. They had only made contact with Earth 50 years ago. They had seen that humans were small and weak compared to most species. They had seen that humans lived short lives and had no natural weapons, no claws, no venom, no armored skin. What they had not seen was the history that lived in human blood. They had not seen the wars, the famines, the plagues that humanity had survived. They did not know about the ice ages, the predators, the countless disasters that had tried to end the human race. And they did not know about the thing that slept inside every human. The thing that woke up when danger came too close. Taehyun smiled slightly. It was not a happy smile. Tomorrow, he would go before the council. He would present Earth's request to join the Galactic Assembly as a full member. He expected them to refuse. He expected them to mock him, to test him, to try to break him. He hoped they would not go too far, for their own sake. He turned from the window and sat down on the small bed. He closed his eyes, but he did not sleep. Instead, he remembered. He remembered Earth. He remembered his training. He remembered why he had been chosen for this mission. There were other humans who were smarter than Taehyun. There were others who were better at speaking, at making deals, at understanding politics. But the leaders of Earth had not sent any of them. They had sent him because of what lived inside him. They had sent him because if something went wrong, he could handle it. The night cycle passed slowly on the station. In his small room, Taehyun sat in the darkness and waited. Outside his door, guards had been posted not to protect him, but to watch him. They thought he did not know, but he could hear their breathing, could smell the oil on their weapons. Let them watch, he thought. Let them see a small, weak human sitting alone in the dark. Tomorrow, if they pushed too hard, they would see something else.